Okay guys, got a little job here. Been a while since I've done this, so see how this goes. This is a pipe bender. Not many machining guys know what a pipe bender is. Well, some of us do. Okay, what we got here is this is a bender I bought several years ago, back when I was doing a lot of stainless handrail work stuff. It's a manual bender, but it can be converted over to hydraulic. It's a really nice bender. I've had it for about probably 15 years, and I used it quite a bit, and it still looks like brand new. It's a nice bender. They put a lot of quality work in. It's made in the United States. I think it's called Pro Tools. They still make these and offer these, and they're a lot better now than they were back in the day. What we got here is, this is a piece of 1-inch stainless steel tubing. It's a 063 wall, and whoop, bumped the camera there. But it's just a little, I got to put two bends, a bend on this end, a bend on this end. It's just a little easy job here. Nothing real strategic about it, nothing to really figure out any blanks on. But it's got a Delrin backing die, and this is what's called a radial bender. It actually draws the tubing through this backing die here. And I've used a Delrin backing die so it doesn't scratch the stainless. Works very good. These guys that made these dies and stuff, they've got it all figured out right down to a science there. And this is a U-clip. There's one for every die set. This is the 1x3. It's a 1-inch tubing by a 3-inch radius. So you get a 6-inch total bend on it, and it slides in there. It would slide better if the pins were cleaner. This little block right here has got a little needle on it. There's an indicator around here with degrees on it, and I've got it calibrated. This is a detent bolt. You tighten this up slightly against the tubing so that it doesn't lose position while you're bending it. You can get a wrench. Alright, here we go. Okay, so back to this bender here. This bolt right here is going to put tension against this tubing. Just snug it up a little bit. What it does is it pushes the tubing back against this U-strap right here. Doesn't take a whole lot of pressure at all. If you put too much pressure on the tubing, it will damage the tubing here. However, most guys that bend tubing, what they'll do is, with their blank length, they'll allow this squeeze point. So if it does happen to damage the tubing, the squeeze point can be cut off or finished off, and then it can be joined or whatever onto whatever they're working on. So down on this end of the bender, there's this attachment right here, and what it does is, it's got this handle on it. It gives you a lot of leverage here. This arm right here is up against this die in here on this pin right here, this drive pin. So what you do is you lock it in one of these grooves right here. You lock your bender in, or your handle, into this pin right here, and now once you start, you try not to let it lose too much tension on this arm right here. You don't let it go back that way too far, so it doesn't release the pinch onto the tubing here in this die. So we'll go ahead and see what's going on here with this. We'll see how well it works. So you get one little niche at a time here. It doesn't quite go far enough for two. Okay guys, I lost a battery in the camera, so I had to go get a battery real quick. Well, we've made it all the way around to our 80 degrees. We're over here, and it's been sitting here for quite a spell. And any spring back, it should be relaxed out of it. There'll be a little bit of spring back. Like I said, this block over here with the needle on it has the spring back calibrated in it. So once I reach the 80 degrees, including the spring, to get the material, you actually bend it beyond 80 degrees, and then the spring back, when it relaxes, you end up at 80. So my needle is calibrated. When I say 80 over there, it's actually bent farther than 80, but when it springs back, it will be relaxed at 80 degrees. So it's just a little bit of tubing lingo that everybody has to deal with, and sheet metal works the same way. You push it beyond. Some people in forge bending, they'll push it beyond and then squeeze it back out. Well, air bending, you just push it beyond just a slight bit, and then whatever the spring back is accommodated for by the tonnage in the machine, and then it is once it springs back to what you want. A little bit of an art there to it, experience. See what we got here. I'm looking at this 80-degree angle. It looks like it's going to be just about where the guy wants it. So I think I'm going to just let it go at that. You get 5 degrees or so per notch. So I may go a little beyond, just in case there's nothing important. The guy just wanted some, he didn't want 90 degrees exactly, he just wanted it just a little shy of 90, so I can give him that real quick. Okay, so that's going to be just about 95 degrees right, or 85 degrees right there, and that looks pretty good. I think, you know, once it springs back, it's going to be, yeah, I think that's going to be just about where he wants it at. So with that, now once you know you've reached the point where you want to be at, all you have to do is release your tension, take your drive pin out, and I just let it sit right there. But once you get it released, now you can see your tubing is still stuck to your die here because of this strap and this pin here and this bolt. So what we have to do is we have to loosen up our detent bolt. Now what that'll do is we'll back that out a little bit here, and then see it just falls right out of the die there, and you can just take this right loose, drop all that back in. It makes a really nice bend. This is welded tubing, so you get a little bit of ripple in here on the inside. If it were seamless tubing, it would not have that ripple in it. It would be perfectly smooth inside there, but that's pretty good for welded tubing there. Sometimes you can find a seam. If you can find the seam, you can put the seam either on the outside or on the inside and bend it and see which way it works the best. And I believe I've got the seam on the inside just a little bit past, I think it's run along this outside edge right here. So that may have a little bit of something to do with why it rippled up on the inside there a little bit. You can just barely see that. Just a little bit of ripple right there. So, but that's okay. It's not anything real crucial. So I'll just go here and set up for the next bend. Give it a little jiggle there and get it lined up just about right there. We're going to let it go just like it is. I'm not going to torque it around just to get that just to get that seam on one side or the other. Well, we'll do it anyway. It don't matter. I'm going to cut it off anyway, so we'll get it on the outside here and see how that does. Sometimes this tubing will split. This welded seam tubing sometimes will split when you're bending it like this. Okay, I think we got that pretty much on the outside. Now that'll be on the outside profile. So stainless has a tendency to, it gets brittle and it shrinks when you weld it. So basically what this will be doing is this will be going to the outside, so it'll be stretching a slight bit. Now the die actually pushes some of the material to the inside, and being as it's a co-formed die, it will push in the sides and the back, and the outside generally tends to stay pretty decently uniform. It gets smoothed out just a little, but not a lot. So we get our drive pin back in here all the way through. It's got to go all the way through down to the bottom swing arm down here, and that pin just barely goes through there. So yeah, that's the correct drive pin. This is your Delrin block pin, and we'll go ahead and get another bend going on here. Everything seems to check out all right there. Everything's lined up like it should be, and we'll see if we can get another bend out of this thing. See how well this one goes. A little awkward with the camera there. Probably bumping it. You can, sometimes you can put some lithium grease in here on the back side of this Delrin die, and it will help. It'll help slide it through there. It gets a little messy. I usually try to do it as dry as possible. Keep some tension on that die so it don't flop all around. Pin lined up. Catch us a good spot there and keep tension on it. And we'll get us a little more on it here. Let's see where we are on that one. Alright, that's our 80 degrees again. So I think I gave him a little bit, about a half a push there. Put it on 85. Let's see. Try it right there, see what that looks like. Yep, that's what it is. Just about a full push. Alright, so we know we're there. Release all this stuff back. Once again, you pull the pin, the die is floating free. And see, your tubing's in there pretty good until you loosen up this bolt right here. And once you loosen that bolt up, it becomes real loose. Matter of fact, you don't even have to take the strap off, you can just pull it right out. And you can see there, that turned out a lot better. It turned out much better there. The inside is much smoother. See, it's still got a little bit in it because, like I say, it's welded tubing, so you're going to get a little bit of wrinkle inside here. This is just plain old steam tubing here. There's nothing real special about this tubing. You can see right here, this little niche right here where the die grabs it. That's where it pushes some material to the inside here. This material, it grows on the inside because you're shortening up this distance here. So the material has to go somewhere. So generally when the die bites right here, that takes up a good percentage of that material. So then as you roll it around, it pushes this in just ever so slightly until it just tapers right back out to round again. Right out here is pretty good. You can't tell any bending at all there. Where a mandrel bender, you'll have a notch like this here and one on this side where the mandrel actually pushes in and caves that tubing in as it pushes in. A lot of people fill their tubing with sand or beads or something like that when they do their bending. They still do the same thing. The technology hasn't changed a whole lot, but CNC benders and the dies that they make now are so good, and they've got it figured out now where the material needs to go. So when they cut the dies and they make the dies and stuff, it just pushes it right where it needs to go and everything. You don't have to worry about too much of the problems that you would have, puckering and wrinkles and splitting and things of that nature. But you can see I don't know if you can catch that. If I can catch that just right in the light, you can see those wrinkles right there where that weld seam's at. You can see that right along that edge there. But that's what you get with welded tubing. I think that's going to work out just fine. What the guy's looking for there is just a slight, not quite 90. He just wanted this to be, what he wanted was this to be straight out and this to be kicked back a little bit this way. So it'll probably get cut off right along here somewhere, right just beyond where it's flat at. And then it'd come down here so far. I don't know how far yet, but we got plenty of tubing for two. He needed two of them, so pretty much got the same thing on the opposite end. It kicked off just a little tiny bit. So alright guys, well there you go. That's one more little job out of the shop there. Little bending job. Alright guys, till next time, take it easy.